Please, for the kids.
You embarrass me. Always looking poor and dirty. Get your dirty looking self with your kids out of my life!
Hush now, my loves, we'll find shelter. I know you're scared, but we're together.
The smell of hot oil floated through the narrow street before the sun fully rose. Amora stood beside a small wooden table, sweat already gathering on her forehead as she turned balls of dough in bubbling oil. The sky was still grey, roosters crowing from nearby compounds, but she had been awake for over an hour. "Buy your akara." "Hot akara," she called softly. Her wrapper was faded, her slippers thin at the soles. A small baby slept on her back, tied with a warm cloth. 2 plastic buckets rested near her feet, ready for the afternoon when she would hawk sachet water. By 6 o'clock, the first wave of workers arrived. "Give me 5, a bus conductor said, dropping coins. She counted carefully and handed them over, smiling even when her wrist burned from the heat. When the tray was almost empty, she wiped her face and tied the baby tighter. By midday, the sun punished the road. Amora walked between stalled cars and noisy buses, balancing a cooler on her head. Pure water. Cold pure water. Her throat was dry, but she kept calling out. A driver rolled down his window. "Madam, too." She passed the sachets through the window and collected the notes, quickly folding them into a small purse hidden in her wrapper. Everything she earned had one destination. Home. That evening, the room they lived in smelled of kerosene and wet clothes. Their children sat on the floor eating gari soaked in water while Amora washed plates in a cracked basin. Her back ached. Her feet throbbed. When the door opened, she straightened. Damalola stepped in, phone pressed to his ear, a grin on his face. "I told you, tomorrow is another party," he laughed. "Don't worry, I'll show up." He hung up and loosened his tie. Amora forced a tired smile. "Welcome, my husband." He dropped his briefcase on the chair and sniffed the air. "Is that Gary again?" She nodded gently. "Will it better when your savings plan works out?" "Today I sold everything." She reached into her purse and poured crumpled notes onto the table. He swept them up quickly. "How much?" "4,300, she said. He nodded approvingly. "Good. Every little helps." Amara hesitated. "You're still keeping it for the house project, than the shop?" "Of course." He frowned slightly. "Do you think I'm wasting it?" She shook her head immediately. "No. I trust you." He smiled, wide and charming. Later that night, while the children slept, Amora stitched a tear in her blouse under the dim light of a lantern. Damalola scrolled on his phone, chuckling. "What's funny?" she asked softly. "Office joke," he replied without looking up. She nodded and returned to sewing. Outside, laughter echoed from distant houses. Music drifted through the night air. Amora tied the final knot and exhaled. Tomorrow, she would wake up before dawn again. And do it all over. Morning came too quickly. Amora woke before the first bird call. She slipped quietly from the mat so she wouldn't disturb the children and tied her wrapper tightly around her waist. Outside, the compound was still dark. She lit her stove. Oil heated. Dough sizzled. By the time the sky softened into pale blue, customers had already formed a short line. "Madam, your akra sweet oh." "Thank you," she replied, forcing a smile. Her hands moved fast. Her mind wandered slower, counting school fees, kerosene, tomorrow's water supply. Everything she earned went into one pocket. Damalola's. At exactly 8 o'clock, he emerged from the room freshly bathed, cologne heavy in the air. Amora looked up. "I kept rice for you." He checked his watch. "No time." She quickly wrapped the plate with nylon. "Take it to the office." He hesitated, then grabbed it. Next time cooks too. She nodded. Before leaving, he stretched out his hand. She reached into her purse again. More notes. Smaller today. Only 2,000, she said apologetically. He sighed. Sales slow. Yes. He clicked his tongue. Try harder. Things are expensive now. The word stung, but she smiled anyway. At his office, glass windows gleamed. Damalola walked through the lobby with swagger. Chairman, one colleague called. He laughed. You know how we do. Another leaned closer. That party yesterday, oh. You finished that champagne. Damalola grinned. Life is short. A young woman in tight clothes waved from across the room. Dammy. He winked at his coworkers and went to meet her. During lunch break, the men gathered under a tree outside the building. So what about that poor woman we saw hawking water near Mile Bridge? One asked, biting meat pie. Ragged like this, another added, twisting his mouth. She should have stayed in school instead of marrying early. They laughed. Damalola joined in. She chose suffering, he said casually. Inside his pocket, his phone vibrated. Amora. He silenced it. That afternoon, traffic blocked the road. Amora weaved between cars, sweat soaking her blouse. Pure water. A bus driver stared. Madam, your children. At home. You try. She smiled weakly and moved on. At sunset, her cooler was empty. She counted her money, less than yesterday. Her chest tightened. How would Damalola react? That night, she placed the notes before him. He frowned. Is this all? I'll try tomorrow. You must, he snapped. Then quickly softened. We are building a future, remember? She nodded, eyes downcast. Later, Damalola stepped outside to take a call. Amora could hear laughter. Female laughter. She paused in folding clothes. When he returned, she asked gently, who was that? Office people. She said nothing. But her heart shifted. The sun was already high when Amora reached the junction. Her cooler felt heavier than usual. The strap cut into her shoulder, but she kept walking. Pure water. Cold pure water. Cars slowed. Coins dropped into her palm. Across the road, a black SUV pulled over. Two men stepped out in crisp shirts, laughing loudly. Amora didn't look up until one of them stared. Wait, isn't that the woman from yesterday? The man said. The ragged one, the other scoffed. Amora felt their eyes on her and shifted away. Then she heard a voice she knew too well. I beg, leave her. Her heart jumped. She slowly turned. Damalola stood beside them. In office trousers. Shiny shoes. Dark glasses. For a second, their eyes met. Her face brightened with relief. My husband. He cut her off. I don't know her. The words hit harder than heat. She froze. One of the men laughed. So you two don't know her? See as she be like village woman. She should have stayed in school, another added. Damalola shrugged. Some people choose suffering. They all laughed. Amora stood there, water sachets dripping onto the road. She couldn't breathe. He didn't look back. That night, she cooked in silence. Damalola talked about work. She listened without hearing. When she handed him the day's money, her fingers trembled. He didn't notice. Later, as she lay beside the children, tears slid into her hair. 2 weeks passed. The parties increased. The late nights multiplied. Sometimes Damalola returned smelling of perfume that was not hers. Amora stopped asking questions. She worked harder. Sold more. Ate less. One evening, he came home humming. New watch on his wrist. New phone in his hand. Amara stared. Did they increase your salary? He smacked. Hard work pays. She nodded slowly. That night, hunger gnawed at her stomach while he scrolled pictures of champagne glasses. The next day, she followed him. From a distance. She carried her cooler past his office, then waited across the street. At lunch, he walked out. With a woman. Tall. Curvy. Laughing too loudly. He held her waist. Amora's chest cracked. She watched them enter a car. And drive away. That evening, she said nothing. At home, the children cried for food. She cooked the final cup of rice in the bag and shared it carefully. When Damalola arrived, he didn't greet anyone. He went straight to the mirror. Amora watched him adjust his collar. You're going out again. He sprayed perfume. Yes. The children haven't eaten since morning. He frowned. Didn't you sell today? I did, but... Then manage it. He picked up his phone. Amora's chest tightened. I thought you said we were saving. He turned sharply. Must you complain every day? I'm not complaining. I just what? She swallowed. I'm tired. The room went quiet. Then he laughed. Tired of what? Frying akara. Hawking water. Her eyes stung. I gave up everything for this marriage, she whispered. He stared at her. Then scoffed. That evening, he didn't come back. Midnight passed. The rain started. Amora sat awake with the children. At 2 a.m., the door burst open. Damalola stumbled in, smelling of alcohol. Behind him stood the curvy woman from the office. High heels. Heavy makeup. Arms crossed. This is her, the woman asked. Amora stood slowly. Damalola, who is this? He didn't answer. Instead, he grabbed her bag and threw it at her feet. Pack your things. Her ears rang. What? I'm tired of pretending. Take your children and go. Where will we go? Anywhere. The woman smacked. Amora dropped to her knees. Please. For the kids. He looked away. You embarrass me. Always looking poor. Always begging. I work every day. And you're still poor. The words cut deeper than slaps. Rain beat the roof. The children cried. He pushed the door open. Now. She stared at him. Then slowly picked up her bag. Wrapped the baby to her back. Held the others by the hand. She stepped into the rain. The door closed behind her. 3 days later, their room was empty. Neighbors whispered. She left. Where did she go? No one knew. Weeks passed. Damalola moved the new woman in. Parties returned. Bills piled up. His spending doubled. His punctuality at work vanished. Warnings followed. Far away, a dusty bus rolled through massive iron gates. Amora stepped down with her children. She looked up. Tall walls. Uniformed guards. One bowed. Welcome home, my daughter. Her eyes filled with tears. Years passed. The city forgot the poor hawker woman. But another name began to rise in business circles, quietly at first, then loudly. A woman who invested wisely. A woman who owned fleets of delivery vans. A woman whose face appeared at charity galas. Her name was Amora. Damalola's fall came noisily. He missed meetings. Borrowed money. Showed up late. Argued with supervisors. When auditors noticed strange withdrawals and unpaid advances tied to his name, the company did not wait. He was fired. The curvy woman vanished within weeks, taking what she could. Broke and desperate, Damalola drifted from couch to couch until another party introduced him to someone new. A wealthy, loud woman. Older. Flashy. Cruel. At first, she paid for drinks. Then rent. Then clothes. Soon, the roles reversed. He cooked. Cleaned. Was slapped when food was late. His phone was seized. His money, what little he earned, taken. At night, as she partied with younger men, he lay awake remembering the quiet woman who once knelt before him in the rain. One afternoon, working as a store attendant in a shopping mall, Damalola stacked boxes near the entrance. A sudden hush rippled through the crowd. Security guards straightened. Engines purred outside. He glanced up. Luxury cars. Black suits. A woman stepped out. Elegant gown. Dark glasses. Gold bracelet catching the light. Something about her froze him. She turned. Their eyes met. His knees weakened. Amora. She removed her glasses. It was her. She walked toward him slowly. Customers watched. Damalola. His voice shook. I didn't know. She smiled faintly. I know. He dropped to his knees. People gasped. I'm sorry, he whispered. Forgive me. She studied him, the bent shoulders, the trembling hands. I left the palace for love, she said calmly. I returned to rebuild my life. He looked up, confused. Palace. She leaned closer. My father is a king. The words crushed him. I begged you in the rain, she continued. You shut the door. She straightened. For years I thought love was endurance. Now I know it is dignity. She stepped past him. Her heel brushed his hand. Not in anger. In finality. Her guards opened the car door. She entered. The convoy drove away. Damalola stayed on his knees long after the crowd dispersed. Alone.